Welcome everybody to the Destiny Dugout. I'm your host Cruz, member of the 3-time World's First Team from Elysium, and this is what we've got going on this episode. Hopefully you enjoy listening, and let us know what you think in the comment section. Now without further ado, let's get this thing started.
It's actually, yeah. Does do the threadlings get buffed? I guess yeah, they would too. I mean, they're from your nade, right? That'd be kind of crazy.
Yep. Apparently, I saw on Twitter that
rarities, man.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter that like one threadling grenade like melts a champion at ×5. I don't know what difficulty they were on, but it was just a random comment. But I'm like, interesting.
I mean, even legend would be kind of crazy because it's not like you're super over leveled now, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, so we can talk about a lot of other stuff. I was, earlier we were talking, I said we'd bring up a lot of Lightfall stuff because I mean we still got like our whole like week 1, like first impressions style of kind of review, which we can do. If we have time for it, we can talk about Root of Darkness. Root of Nightmares. I always say darkness. I don't know why. I think it just sounds better.
Root of Darkness. I don't know. I'm not a fan of either.
Oh, I guess maybe it's root that you don't like, which is fair.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It just sounds weird.
Yeah, I don't. What was it? I was thinking of something. Or I said Essence of Nightmare. I was like, that would be better, in my opinion. I mean, I get root because it's like it's the kind of like the sprout of nightmares, which like coming from Nezarec. That makes sense. Also the whole plant, vibes you got going on. So, but yeah, we can talk about that and like prepping for that or whatever if we have time for it. But I mean, pretty much what I think we want to talk about is all things we kind of gathered from Lightfall in the first week. So, we've got story aspects, we've got the overall sandbox changes, we got Strand to talk about, how that's all working. There's a lot. So what do you want to start with though?
First impressions on each class.
Like with Strand?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go first since I started with Hunter. Hunter is probably the most fun in just like kind of, I guess, whatever content. Like just if you're slamming strikes, you're, just playing some Gambit even, like you're just doing whatever and not really sweating too much. Like I think Hunter is like top tier just because the natural double grapple, and the new helmet with woven mail just kind of puts the game in like permanent easy mode. Also the backflip suspend is just insane.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's
6 coyote, you get 2 of them. That is like uber broken in terms of just suspend. Because I mean talking about Strand, I think we all kind of agree suspend is kind of like the best. There's a lot of good aspects, but I think it's the best.
Yeah. Just suspending in general, and also being able to get your class ability back on killing suspended targets. And there is plenty of ways to suspend people, like whether you're on Warlock, Hunter, and stuff. So, like, that's kind of my impression. You talk about Titan.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Titan, I thought initially came out pretty strong. I never really felt like the melee, I would say, was like as. Like, you have good uptime with it, but it's not necessarily what I envisioned it to be, which is, like, literally super spammy. But the super right away, I was a fan of. I thought the utility of your suspend, like, waves that you can send out is... I mean, basically what I said, like, there's a lot of utility to it, like... And, how Strand is designed overall... It's pretty endgame focused. Like there's definitely a lot of stuff that you can use kind of going forward, which is really nice too. Longevity definitely seems good right away. So yeah, it was kind of funny to think like, oh, people hated on Titan Strand when in the end, I actually think it's in the end game context actually probably the best, because Titan, I think with the boots that they got
Is
are,
so good.
I mean, I think Hunter's very similar in terms of how good they are at suspending with like high uptime.
Hmm.
It's just that because Titan has the whole like woven mail kind of built into it as well, it's really hard to beat, you know?
Yep.
So I was, my first impressions initially kind of like good overall, and then they kind of got better and better the more I played around with them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think just Titan's kit just lends itself so well to just team play and solo play, like just better.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But without a doubt, the
Whereas,
Hunter is so much fun to play.
yes, the hunters with the just the inherent double grapple, it and then with the fragments they unlocked all of them instead of time getting them, which
Mm-hmm.
thank God.
Thank goodness. Yeah, thank goodness. That like, and that I think that's part of the reason why maybe Strand feels a lot better than what it did. Because I remember like second day, it was like okay,
Yeah, it was
but
definitely
by
lackluster.
by the end of the week, it was, we were starting to actually kind of understand a little bit more about it, and I mean, it's literally like all I could ask for in terms of like an end game subclass.
Yep. And Titan, you talked a little bit about the boots, like it has that way to get not only you but your teammates woven mail and like give you some form of passive health regen by using the tangles. Um and the melee is basically like overloading, like debuffing the enemy so they deal less damage, and you have just damages with woven mail, and your wall like naturally suspends with the aspect, and those boots just make it better. Like, and you could just run a suspend grenade, and like it's just Titan. It just to me just flows the best out of all of them,
Yeah.
like naturally almost. I mean, even without those boots, you could still pretty much do all of that,
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
just
The
as
boots
easily.
just
Like
make
it's
it like easier to get more value out of the wall suspend, just because it's like three
yeah,
times as big.
and
Right.
it makes it a true like team play, like
Mm-hmm.
subclass.
Right, by providing that woven mail, which is just like, yeah, you pair that in a team dynamic, and absolutely, like I see that. I mean, even going into the raid, I genuinely see a purpose for strand type, which is something I did not think I would say, and honestly, I don't know if anyone would have thought that with any of them, to
Yeah,
be honest.
I mean, I don't know if I would have said that, but I did say that I'm pretty sure Titan was going to be the best one. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the best one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were talking about it before.
Yeah.
I think at the podcast, like our pre-Lightfall one,
Yep.
we kind of talked about it and how, because at that point we kind of knew all about the Titan kit. It was just kind of getting it in our hands. We kind of know at that point. Well, it is kind of like probably maybe the hardest one to make work, because you have to think a little bit more.
Hmm.
But that value, if you can focus on keeping that woven mail up and sever and like suspend, like goodness, that is a crazy good like team play in CQC that you have. Well, not CQC, CC, crowd control.
Yeah.
Definitely
Absolutely.
an aspect that I underrated. And when I mentioned how I thought about the melee as more of like a spammy tool, one thing I remember you brought up is more like you just use it as like a one-off, and then it's like bam, you have it if you need it to like weaken the enemy that's about to push you, or just to, I don't know, have basically a melee tool that allows you to stay alive.
Yeah.
Pretty good to have. You're zooming, right?
Absolutely.
Warlock. I mean, I'm sure we all like the super, but what do we think about like threadlings and stuff like that? Since that's kind of like what I'd say their main kit is right.
Yeah. I I don't know. I mean, I'm I have mixed feelings about the threadlings. I think that the threadlings have potential, but it seems like you really like you kind of got a full send into them, and even then, it doesn't push it over. I think warlocks, honestly, their best bet is that like the suspending rounds that they have. When you
Yeah.
eat your nade and you get those, like I actually think that's the you know the bread and butter of strand warlock. I think if you're not using that, like then you're just not using the best part of strand warlock. Like the third things, they're a cool concept, you know, pop your rift and send it out, but I think it should just be kind of a passive benefit rather than the main focus. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you look at, I didn't even pick it up. When you look at the suspending rounds, it's just nuts. I mean, the big thing that everybody's doing right now is using Striga. You know, Osteo Striga with the suspending rounds, and it just clears entire rooms by itself.
Yeah, super
You know,
easily.
yeah, it's just really cool to do that with. Um, Striga and even Necrotics. I'm pretty sure Necrotics works with it also.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Um,
seen some builds with both of them combined.
yeah, which is really cool. But as far as like team play, I mean, I guess if you count suspending everything around you as team play, then sure. But they definitely seem a more like kind of self-focused kind of class with what they bring. And as far as end game viability, since it's reliant on the actual kills, and I know, I mean, if anybody's listened to the other episodes, you know how we kind of feel about builds, you know, kind of based on kills. Um, I don't know. I feel like it's still lacking something. You know, I think it's just like that exotic they have, the boots, is a good
Mm-hmm.
start, but I think it needs something a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I mean, if you take it in a vacuum, you're killing a bunch of stuff. Wow, yeah, bad juju. It's a great weapon. You get your super so fast, but like nobody uses it,
Yeah,
right? That's just
exactly.
because it doesn't lend itself to actually being usable in a lot of content,
Yeah,
especially team dynamic.
and I mean,
Um,
team play is pretty important when it comes
I
to
mean,
these
for
subclasses. You know,
sure. I mean, that's
because
especially for a warlock who's competing with Well of Radiance. Like,
yes, absolutely. You know, not having no team play and when the other option is just play well is, you know, I mean, I know that that people are saying with the fragment you can your super does about the same damage as a thunder crash, which is great. I mean, it's just a ranged thunder crash in a way. I think that's cool. That's good. Warlock has a better super than Nova Bomb now,
mm-hmm.
and it doesn't take 10 years like Chaos Reach does. So that's cool. But um the rest of the classes, I don't know. Feels like it's lacking. It's missing something.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to Arc Souls. Once Threadlings, I assume, will get some form of treatment one day. Um, which I don't think they need much. It's just, you know, get like 20% more damage and maybe make them like a little bit faster, like off the bat.
Yeah.
And something like that. They don't need much. I did use the Vesper build
Mm-hmm.
earlier. Um, there's situations where I am like surrounded, and in like activity like this where I'm not dying right away, it's kind of crazy. Like you could just pop like thread legs, they just go jump on everything, and then you run forward and pop, you know, pop your rift and get more thread legs, and it's definitely, I think it hits that fun factor for me, but also I don't know, you just don't have the uptime if you're surrounded, and you're not going to be surrounded in hard content. So
Yeah. I mean,
it's
in that sense too, you know, you could also just run because the threadlings, I believe, counts as grenade damage. So you could run I believe it's bolstering detonation. Is that the mod on the arms?
I think so, yeah.
You could run Rift, you know, utility kickstart, and also the fragment that defeating suspended enemies and combo that with suspended rounds. You could have some really high like Rift uptime just naturally built in. Um, but even then, like the Rift is it's such a small part of it, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah, I know. And I think that's just, it's almost similar. Well, I mean, it's similar, but it's almost the same situation that like Frost Pulse is in, which is the stasis freeze
Yeah.
with your Rift. It's like, yeah, it's really cool to have utility on your Rift, but Rift naturally, compared to the other two classes, don't have that like massive uptime.
Yeah.
And you can't really like you can't make it come back in like 10 seconds unless you use something like Vesper, or you just are consistently getting hurt while using Stag. So like a Stag build probably makes the most sense in like endgame, while like the Vesper build is more like mid-level content.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like building into that threadling stuff, it's just not effective enough to kind of compare to what, to be honest, I think like the other two classes have naturally, just because they're just better at suspending on their own. They don't need as much. They're less conditional. They kind of activate an ability and you get suspend. While Warlock is activate an ability, shoot your gun, and then
Yeah, and
now
then
it
get
suspends.
reap reward. Yeah.
And
And
like,
that's the thing. It's like what would help Warlock, more threadlings on Riftcast, or maybe a suspend pulse instead
a
of the
suspend
threadlings,
pulse. With, I mean, hey, even
and
with,
effectively be the hunter thing. Like, they're doing the same thing.
to be honest,
I mean,
maybe just like, I mean, the Titan and Hunter, just kind of thinking of this now, both have a suspend class ability, but the Warlock
yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I'd almost say I even think Warlocks would be okay. I mean, maybe, I might be a little off on this. They'd be okay with hitting a button and it doesn't drop a rift. Or better yet, you use Emp Rift and it turns it into a suspend rift.
Yeah,
Right?
there you go.
And that way you can keep your healing with threadlings, but if you use Emp, then it becomes a suspend pulse.
Yeah, I actually
Right?
like that because you'd also, in theory, don't need the healing rift if you're
Because you
suspending everything
suspended
near you,
everything. Yep.
right? And then your Emp Rift also helps you kill them faster. So
Yeah.
I like that concept. Should work for Bungie.
Well,
We've
if you
had
like the concept, then I can't work for Bungie.
true. A classic bleed sword
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Damn, too many good ideas.
Yep. That's just
um,
how it goes.
going. I think a lot of people have maybe a little too much hype around like the other classes, as in like not Titan, like Warlock and uh, Hunter, for probably the
Mhm.
wrong reasons. And it's purely just because like, oh, the super is super good damage, right? You mentioned how Thunder
Yeah.
Crash and the needle strike thingy, pretty much the same damage output. And yeah, like through testing, like I've seen it, like so long as you get all of the needles to hit that target, you're doing pretty much the exact same damage. Sometimes more if like the threadling hit right.
Yeah.
And the Hunter right now, I mean, pretty much it's just doing like, I don't know. If you ask Salt, he would say like 2 times the damage. It's like double damaging from like all that stuff he was doing. I don't know. I haven't mathed it out with what it's supposed to be doing or not, but it seems like it's just like double ticking. Without it, it's still probably decent damage super. But that's also because, I mean, they have Star Eater scales. It's like, pretty sure if every class had Star Eater scales, their supers would be a lot better
Yeah.
too, right? You imagine
Exactly.
like Sunbreaker. Yeah, it probably does pretty good damage. I mean, it already was good with
Mhm.
Synthos, but like it'd be even better. And it's like, oh yeah, maybe it's a little biased to say that it's good on its own. It just has a really good exotic that buffs all supers. um, I don't know. Do you think assuming it's like doing too much damage, do you think it gets like touched before the day one in a few days?
I kind of hope it does, because from what I've been seeing in all the videos and people testing and talking about it, it just looks like number-wise, it's not really reflecting.
It's definitely not adding
Um,
up. Something's going
yeah,
on.
like the numbers are completely off, and it looks like it's double ticking for every hit. So it's like the little rope dart is going through the boss, and then as it comes back, it's hitting again, and it's happening very fast.
Right, because
Is
you're
kind of what.
spamming that thing.
Yeah,
Those left clicks go out quickly. You don't even need that double damage for the 50% more damage. Critical strike.
yeah.
You
I
you
mean,
just
it's
love click spam and you're chilling.
yeah, it's kind of going a little crazy. So, I do hope that they address it. Honestly, I think it's a little too good for basically no cost. Um, and the damage values aren't there, right?
Hmm.
We should always be basing it kind of as much as we can off proper damage values. You know.
I didn't spawn my sparrow because I was thinking. So we're gonna be running. It's funny
I could
having
send you.
the new
I
one.
could send you here if you want.
I mean, I'm down. I don't have a grapple, but down.
Here, just stand like right
Wait.
here.
Can I? Wait. Can I? Oh no, I'm gonna lose my nade if I swap.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Oh, oh,
Oh
I couldn't freak. I couldn't freak. I didn't have a sword.
no!
That was good though. Good lineup. I
That's
should have swapped
close.
to my sword. That would have been smarter. I had the time. Um. So you did Legend campaign with Bacon and Vendetta, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did it solo. What was your experience as like 3? I know you guys were kind of memeing around a bit, maybe not doing like super serious meta loadouts all the time, but for the
Yeah.
most part, like? Was the change noticeable? Because I'm honestly somebody who's still only done Legend in a group once, and that was like just for a mission, see what it was
It
like, and it was terrible.
definitely didn't feel as like
Like as bad.
insane as before. Yeah.
Yeah, because Witch King
Before it was
that was
nuts.
something else.
Yeah, like I mean, enemies just had obscene amounts of health. Um, but and also what didn't help also was in some of these scenarios, you had to use strand to like start the encounter, and we didn't
Yeah,
figure out until later that not everybody had to pick it up, and we were 3 hunters, so we were just having a good time, using our double grapples and stuff. But um, yeah, I think the fact that some of the levels we kind of had to use strand to progress, um, definitely affected it because while strand is very fun, I feel like strand hunter more specifically strand hunter doesn't have a lot of the ability firepower that the other ones have, um and that kind of made it a little bit uh less fun, I guess you could say.
yeah. You love it. Do you like that woven mail? Bong
Oh
bong
yeah,
bong 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 bong.
I love the sound. I actually like, I think it sounds really cool, like it's like just threads like pulling.
Yeah.
I gotta say, that's, I'm not one to like really get into the sounds of this game, but that's one that like I actually really enjoy.
I think there's a few aspects that Bungie always nails. Sound design is usually,
Oh yeah.
combine that with the music and like the skyboxes. It's like those 3 things are like things that pretty much they nail every time, no matter what.
They always get it. Yep.
Um, in my experience, like I started Titan. I was pretty freaking bad with Strand to start off. Like there were a few times where I was trying to kind of use it, and I would
Yeah.
just kind of just die basically
Just
because
fall flat because it's like,
I just like I didn't know how to like I don't know maneuver properly and like I don't know, like it's just how it worked, you know?
I feel like one of the big downsides that they do is they give you strand and they try and explain it in pieces over different missions, and honestly, I think that made it worse. Um, at least for me, I would have much rather preferred that they just put me on strand and then they go open your inventory and check your fragments or whatever, and I start to read a little bit about it
For
and
sure.
and
Yeah.
like and just kind of throw me in and just let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like they tried to explain like, oh, use this for your class ability, do this, do that, and a lot of it was like, I don't know, I maybe not intuitive or helpful. I don't know.
I think
That could
that's
just
kind
be a
of a
me
neat
thing.
point though, because I didn't really think about how, they designed it and you're pretty much, yeah, like you said, it's kind of done in pieces. You grab it for like, like the suppression missions, for example, like where you got that thing.
Hmm.
You have to pop your super to get rid of it. It's like you do it. You do your strand stuff. You got your crazy abilities, and then it's just over. And then you have to wait. And then And 5 minutes
Yep.
later, you're gonna do the exact same thing. You're gonna find a little thing. You're gonna pop your super. You're gonna destroy it, and you don't really have enough time to sort of just completely mess with it. I think there's a few times where you do, and it's kind of where you're doing like that harpy mission, for example, where you had the
Yeah.
cation and anion. That's like a decent example because you do have it pretty frequently. But yeah, it's kind of a good point where I'm surprised they didn't integrate that whole like new player build concept into the game and be like, hey, these are what fragments do. Here's like 2 off the bat, unlock more by using strand.
Yeah.
We didn't get it until the end of the campaign. And that
Hmm.
was definitely a shock for me. I figured that like halfway through we'd be like, okay, strand's good. Now it's up to you to use it.
Exactly.
Maybe
Yeah. I
maybe
think.
there's like some modifiers built in to where like, oh, Callus doesn't understand strand, so we're stronger with it. So it's like basically you just have strand search, right? Like
Mhm.
you just throw that into the campaign. There you go. Now there you have your lore accuracy, but you're also not forcing players to do a certain thing.
Yeah, which I think was a big kind of blunder on their part. Like, they forced you to not force you, but they really shoved Strand in your face, leading all the way up to even the final mission. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there is just no reason for that. Like, I think that was completely excessive. It should have been in my up. You know what? For me, halfway, they should have already basically fully explained Strand and given you the option to like equip it, mess with some fragments. Like, if anything, they should have given you a kind of a suite about of like half the fragments, let's say,
I mean,
and
give like a
then
beta version of what strand is, then
yeah,
you complete the campaign and then you get it.
yeah, they give you a suite to try, and then at the very end, you kind of gotta buy some of them back for maybe a little bit cheaper than what they are now, but still have to buy them. Um, I feel like that was just a big missed opportunity on their part. And I know the story is getting a ton of flack from people, um, but I don't know. I guess I'll let you speak to that as far as
I'll
like
probably be a
pure
little bit
lore
more
wise.
positive in terms of story. I imagine.
Yeah, because I'm not really too keen on the lore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was much, to be honest, because a lot of it, like my biggest thing, I remember after finishing my, near the end of the stream, when I finished the campaign, I was talking about it. I need this, get rid of this. Oh, I can't bank it. I had it, but I guess I didn't. Near the end of the campaign, I was kind of thinking like, okay, not only, nobody knows what the veil is yet, but the fact that the story just felt like it literally took us 3 hours in real in-game time, I think
Yeah,
is my big gripe. And maybe it's like that's kind of like a niche thing to like be upset about, because I just felt like the story never had time to really develop into something more serious. It's like, okay, we're rushing to Neptune with Callus, and then we're like, oh, what's this thing, Strand? Which, yeah, I don't know. Definitely felt thrown together. Like, I don't really know if Strand was integrated into the story early on. I think that might have been as a result of Witch Queen not having it, to be honest. But
yeah. I mean, that's something that we looked at too.
yeah, sorry, I'm blanking because playing.
Oh, you're good.
Um, yeah, so like you play, you're going through your thing, you discover Strand. Alice like, I don't know what Strand is. Okay, Osiris, let's use this new techno or new ability. And that's like, oh, we're not good enough yet. And then eventually you are, and then you just kill him. And it's like, okay, and what was the purpose of the Cloud Striders? Why couldn't have this just happened in like 2 missions? Like, I don't know if you were there the other day when I was talking in general about this, but it really sucks that they just kind of use like Rohan as just, oh, sad he died kind of
Yeah,
like
that
story.
was
And
that
it's
to
like,
me is just
I don't
so
have an
bad.
issue with like I'm not like a Nimbus hater like a lot of people are. Not saying everyone is, but there's a lot of people think he's like overly corny. I just think forcing them, I'm being smart about this, forcing them to be the main and sole person post halfway through the campaign on Neomuna is such a rushed and wasted opportunity, when I think having like Rohan establish like a year of like Rohan and Nimbus, give them like a year, make them like a character that we care about. I remember to commend because I'm a good guardian.
Oh,
I
good
saw
call.
the mission summary and I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do that. Yeah, give it like a year, let their relationship sort of establish, make us care about who they are a little bit more, and then have a death like that. It matters so much more. We literally just met this character and he's already dying, and now it's like this other guy who's kind of overly, Gen Z, when in the tone of the story we would have much preferred somebody a little bit more grizzled and experienced and kind of
Yeah, because
like,
we're at war.
I know, like, and we literally just like almost lost the traveler. We don't know what the hell is going on. It's so
We're
much like,
literally at war.
yeah, it just doesn't feel like the right time to have a character solely like Nimbus to be the only kind of main character outside of us.
Yeah.
Right? And I think if Rohan's alive throughout the whole thing, then he can help balance out that Gen Z attitude.
He can give us like, I feel like he can give us direction, like, and really like
He can be the
guide
serious
us like
one, while the other one
yeah.
can be a little bit more jovial and fun and comic relief. And like, imagine a story where it's only Cade. It's like, that's not funny. That's just constantly making jokes, and it's like, just shut up.
I was gonna make that exact comparison.
Many other things. It's like,
Yeah.
In the case of Destiny, it's like you have Zavala and Ikora, who are much more serious, and that established a character to have a little bit more lighthearted personality, and it's okay. But when you just have one on their own, that's like that. It just doesn't fit right. And in terms of the whole narrative, like, this is serious stuff going on. So us players would have liked a story to represent that.
And honestly, losing Rohan in like what felt like the middle of the campaign, seemingly out of nowhere, it was odd. It was very strange. It just almost felt out of place. And like you said, like we didn't have any time to properly develop, like, us, even caring that he was gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you can't just throw new characters in and be like, oh yeah, he's important, now he's dead. Yeah, be sad. Experience this emotion. Like, what? No. That is something that's earned. I mean, like, A dying, like, kind of like a little whatever, but at the very least, he was a character that we had around for a while and actually, like, kind of
he
like
established himself.
And he was
within
kind of
the story,
especially with like the Forsaken cutscene. He looks kind of like a badass taking on all the scorn. So it's like, oh damn, and he's dead. And then he talks to his gun, and he's referring to his son, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of weight there, even for a character that's as not super serious as Cade. Then you have a character like Rohan who's super serious and just dies instantly. You don't really know why. It's just, I mean, ultimately, you combine that with the fact that, like, I mentioned earlier, the story just feels super rushed, literally. Like, we do everything so quick. And it's like, what's really going on? Now, gameplay-wise, super fun. Like, throughout this campaign as well, I thought, like, the fights were really cool, cinematics were cool. I had nothing wrong with that. I would have liked it to be a little bit longer because I felt like not enough happened. But it's not like all bad. Definitely not doom and gloom in terms of the gameplay and fun aspect. But when you integrate strands so much into it, and then you also have a mediocre storyline, it's hard to really want that to like continue. It's almost like, all right, the story's over, thank goodness. Like, that was going nowhere. Like, I don't know.
I mean, at a certain point, you just lose all like involvement. You're not invested in it even in the slightest. Like, for me, I was just like, look, at a certain point, I lost what was happening. Like, I was just like, I I was already like not very in tune with the story, and this just had me even less.
I mean, yeah, you said that I was like in tune and I could talk a little bit more, and I'm like, I honestly, this was the first storyline where I genuinely didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know what Rohan died in. Like
I didn't know either. Like,
well, I didn't like apparently in the mission like a couple before where Keitel saves us, like we're fighting around the whatever it's called. Somebody in chat remembers what it's called. I'll thank you forever. Like the whole like light thing that's Alice is using siphon and
is it the upended, like the way Rolk says it?
yes, radio mass. There you go. Thank you, coffee. That thing, we were fighting next to it. I didn't know that, but we were, and then it was like, oh, the radio mass is being activated. Oh no, we have to go, Guardian. We're the last chance. It's like, okay, I guess this is important. And then use your strand, Guardian. We're exhausted. It's like it didn't really feel like us as a player could have done anything to stop this thing from happening, like the death from happening. And then like I said, like the whole like nobody knows what's going on. Like every character does. Every main character and even side character is like, oh yeah, I know what the veil is and I know what the radio is for, and oh yeah, strand, it's just this stuff that we just found. Yeah, that's normal. And it's like all of us as players have no idea what is being referred to, what is being talked about.
Yep.
Combine that with the fact that Zavala and Ikora and Mara and whoever else, Eris, anyone else relevant to the story, it's just like doing nothing.
They're AFK, completely AFK.
Like 5 of them are sitting in the helm watching the witness stare at the traveler while we're just like, oh, we're off with Osiris. And it's like, yeah, it's cool to have Osiris time, but like, how did nothing happen? Like, how was there never like a cutscene where like flashback to Earth and about like what was happening there? And like maybe, you know, because when we leave, our ghost is like, damn, did we do like the right thing? Should we have left? And Osiris is like, there's nothing you could have done. The witness is like, you know, super powerful. We have to focus on Callus. And it's like, okay, I can understand that. But then you show a cutscene back home and things going to shit. And it's like, damn, were we really right to? Now you put, you bring in the player into question in terms of their own decision. Should they have done this? At the end of the day, I just think like the whole writing of Lightfall was extremely poor. I hope
lackluster.
It was rushed seemingly, and honestly, I really hope the theory that Lightfall literally was scrapped together and Lightfall is supposed to be final shape now. I hope that's true, because it was not at all what I was expecting to see. Thanks for the boost.
Yeah, I messed up my strand skeet.
It was sick though because I didn't die. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I hope that's the theory, because then I have a reason to be hyped for Final Shape and not be disappointed, because what they kind of showed in terms of what there is as a campaign, it deserved to kind of have like bad reviews. Now the gameplay, Strand, none of that is bad at all. And Lightfall as an expansion so far, like the story is like a 10th, not even 10th of what we play every day and going forward. So
it's a one-time thing. I mean, for us it's 3, but for most people it's typically like a one-time thing, and it should not like make or break the expansion, in my opinion. Like if it sucks, listen, you just slog through it. All right, because everything else in the game, especially with all the changes they've made, this is all 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Like, I am a full believer in the armor mod system, and I will say this right now, right here on stream
too. Like, that's a great system, I think.
I think right here, right now, I will say this on stream for anyone curious. If you think the armor mod system is bad, I think your brain is not creative enough. Simple as that.
I thought you were gonna say you're bad. Hell yeah.
I mean, I wanted to say that, but I wasn't sure if you'd allow me.
I don't care.
So like it's just listen, if you don't think it's good, then that tells me all I need to know about how you've been playing the game for the past 2 years.
Yeah,
like honestly,
we'll we'll continue our little armor charge talk in a second, but just like finishing up like the Lightfall expansion talk. I mean,
Yeah.
there's still so much that it's, you know, it's coming. I mean, even season wise, like, I mean, we got an exotic mission today that's like really cool. I don't know if you've done it,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, I
like
did. I did it.
I was a big fan just going through it not too long ago, and I mean, yeah, it's all of the changes that we got with it as well. It's just, it's good. Yeah, it's like
I
I
agree.
don't think like outside of the story aspect, which again is the first time you run it, like I don't know. I find new things are always fun the first time in Destiny because I'm getting more Destiny that I enjoy. Like I enjoy playing Destiny, get more Destiny. So of course I'm gonna be happy with that. But like, you know, okay, story is not great second time, third time. It doesn't really matter. Like at the end of the day, like I said, it's not something that I'm really playing going forward. Now what I'm playing is Lightfalls, GMs, the raid,
Seasonal activities,
using the
strikes.
new build system, using the new subclass. Strand is like, I don't have any issue with it. I think as a subclass, I think it is the best made subclass they've ever done. Right? It
From
doesn't
an
feel like there's
original
any.
concept.
Yeah, like exactly, because like think about like I just like spawned off the map. That's sick. The thing about you know, like the Arc, Solar, and Void is that like it's just been, they've been made since literally like D1, year 1, and year 2. And sure, they've been tweaked, but at the end of the day, they're not original concepts anymore. They're just added on. So having Consecration Melee is sick, but is it really different than what, I don't know, Sunbreaker once was? No, I mean it's still at the end of the day very similar.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think they've learned a lot of what like Strand or a new subclass should be good with, what it can be, what's a little too powerful. You know, they're never gonna make another Well of Radiance. You know? They're probably never gonna make another Tether either. I mean, these are all things that probably are a little too strong. And there's something for it already, so they can focus on making new things, a little bit more creative. Stasis was, you know, the first attempt at that. I think they learned a lot. Strand is, you know, round number 2, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But armor charge system, I mean, like I think
I just want to address
yeah, go for it.
the chat really quickly here. Saying that's a hot take and deleted the entire stasis submod system and stab bonuses for powerful friends. It's not perfect at all. And I think by you saying that, I'm gonna be honest, you're kind of proving my point, because the old mod system was so much more than that. And if that's what you're upset that's gone, you know, I feel like this change is only good. And you know, I'll kind of just stand by that, because there is very much ways to get those stab bonuses still. They're just not as completely AFK and completely free as they were before, to the point where it was effectively a zero cost mod for plus 20 mobility. And also the stasis elemental wells and stuff. Like I liked elemental wells after the second round of mods they added to it, you know, with like seeking and stuff. And
Yeah,
they, you know, made some tweaks and stuff.
definitely
And
when
that
they got better.
all that stuff was fine and dandy, but it immediately power crept orbs and charge with light almost immediately. And so with that, it kind of effectively made a lot of mods, you know, null and void. And by the fact that, you know, you don't like the Powerful Friends gun, that kind of proves the point, because Powerful Friends was designed to not only give you mobility, but also to, you know, help your teammates get charged with light. And every other mod in the game, just, it doesn't even matter if you're charged with light or not, right? So you were there's like a stat stick, and it was not what the mod was designed to do at all, right? So with this system, it really like lets you full send into what you want to do and do it really well. And sort of rely on the natural, I guess I call it, engines of subclasses. You know, like certain subclasses have, like I'll bring up a good example: Heat Rises. A lot of warlocks don't run Heat Rises because of Icarus Dash, even though Heat Rises is one of the most broken engines in the game. Like, it is completely busted. how much melee energy you get for doing a tiny little hop.
All you have to
You
do is
shoot Wither
hop,
Horde,
get a multi-kill, bam, you have your melee
you
back.
shoot 4 Barons and a group of ads and do a tiny jump, and you have an entire full melee charge, which said melee charge applies a good amount of Scorch, depending on which one you're using. Both still apply Scorch. They can give you Radiant and your teammates Radiant, and you can use Impact Induction with those mods. Like, it's absurd the benefits you get from that melee, and people don't use it because quick little air dash, right? Which Shikara's Dash is fun and all, but like, it's just insane. It just, to me, the mod system just makes people realize that there is more to this game than just sitting there and, you know, putting on the same 5 mods across all your classes. You know, Well of Life, Explosive Well Maker, Bountiful Wells, Well of Tenacity, and Reaping Well Maker. Like, using those same 5 mods, and Seeking Wells. You know, using those same
Those
5
6.
mods just across the board, no matter what you're playing and or doing, and then saying like, "Oh, I miss the old mod system." You don't miss the old mod system. You miss life being like super easy, which it was.
And it's just simpler, right? In terms of
Yeah.
like what you're gonna get from it. It's like, okay, if you're using Powerful Friends, nobody really used it for. And people aren't complaining that they lost the ability to give orbs because that's, or give like charges, because I mean that concept's still in there. So is the plus 20 mobility that big of a factor? I mean, listen, I would only care about it in PvP or if I was actually a hunter main, and that reason is pretty. It's pretty weak in my opinion, at least for the Powerful Friends aspect. I mean, the concept of the mod is still in the game, and I think what you have to do now with the mod system, because, you know, what you're kind of saying, you know, like a lot of the mods were obsolete in the previous system. Now, if you do want the major benefits, which are still there, you just have to commit a little bit more.
Yeah. So you have to put in 3 seconds of thought. It's really that easy. I mean, you talk about Powerful Friends mobility and stuff like it. There's tons of ways, and not only that, but you know, the Artifice armor change along with the armor mod change. You know, the mod system change, so you can get mobility there. Just a free, like, what is it, like, if you're not using an exotic, 15.
Yeah, 15
right?
straight, 12 with an exotic. I mean, that's pretty darn close to your 20 that you're getting.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even eat up an energy slot anymore.
No, you don't have
For
to
the
run the
Artifice.
mod. If you didn't even want Powerful Friends on, you could just run your extra mobility then.
Yeah.
You can run an actual mod. It's like, I don't know. There's a lot. Like, I can understand people being upset about it, but I don't think the reasons, or many reasons that are being brought up, are like maybe
They hold.
the most
I
backed
feel like
by
they don't.
fact and more backed by their own
Yeah, they don't
opinion
hold
and what
any
they
weight.
liked.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, I think like the biggest thing, at least from what I used to use and what I experienced through many day ones, is that the meta of that previous system was always incredibly simple and clear. It's like when Charged with Light was the thing, there was a certain thing you're gonna run. You know, it's protective, getting, you know, like 4 stacks with it and just calling it a day. Right? It's like that's all you needed. And with like when Explosive Wellmaker came out, and Well of Life, and Seeking, Time Dilation, Font became a buff stacking thing. It's like, okay, well then now that's the thing. It's like you just, okay, I'm going into damage, I'll use Font. Oh, I'm not going into damage, I use everything else that I just said. It's like, that's just so, that's boring to me, at least.
I mean,
So-
and that, unfortunately, that part still lives a little
It does.
bit.
So I mean, surges are insane. The time you can have like a minute of surges without even any investment.
Yep.
And I mean, that carries over into your stats. I mean, listen, if you're a stats guy, you want to run like 5 100s, go for it. All you have to do is put on like stacks on stacks, font of whatever, agility, font of wisdom or something like that, and then run 100 and eat like 2 other stats or like 3 other stats, and bam, you have all of your hundreds just from playing the game and making an orb. Like making 1 orb, you will get time dilation. You'd get like 40 seconds to make another one. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And to what I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher his Access Me. Is that I don't know how to say his name, but
You know what's funny? Earlier I said the same thing. I just said Sesame.
Sesame. So you know, your comment about it's not as complete as the old one. There's just no way you're saying the old one was complete when more than 80% of your armor was solar and you had stasis class items.
Yeah, I
Like
mean utility kickstart, you have grenade kickstart, and then
time
ashes on your
dilation.
helmet. Time
Yeah.
dilation class. I mean, it was just super simple. I mean, listen, I'm the person who claimed to never own any other piece of boots other than solar because recuperation and if I really needed to, innervation are just the two best orb pickup. So why would I ever consider the other stuff? That
Yeah.
freedom lets you create a lot of different stuff, you know?
Yeah. And not being locked to different armor elements and like that was to me what I think is happening is people are getting a glimpse of an actual armor system, and
But
unfortunately we were kind of spoon fed the old one, and the old one was built off of like just completely outdated systems. And like to say that it was a complete when I kid you not, more than 70% of the Charged with Light mods and just the mods in general before went completely unused for any real reason, even for fringe builds. You cannot call that complete. They were I dare you to find someone who used the special ammo mod on void damage kills for void armor, the getting charged with light while using a bow or a scout rifle or a sniper. Like there's the list keeps going on and on. I mean, the old armor system essentially having the elements removed is this now. Like but this is better because not only did they rework and consolidate mods, they allow you to stack multiple things, right? And they directly tell you that things have benefits by stacking them. I mean, I will say right now, um, and I will agree with that. Red, I do see them adding more mods in the future. I assume you agree with that, Cruz.
yeah, I was gonna like whenever you're gonna done the point
Yeah.
is that it's a the system I think ultimately being integrated into one fundamental design is great going forward because you had to rein everything in to then be able to expand again. So in a year, am I gonna be happy if I have the exact same mod system? No, I won't. I would like at least one of the next 3 seasons to add a handful of mods, maybe even a new type of mod.
Mhm.
But like it needed to be consolidated into one
Yep.
system because the only time like the only system that allowed you to like or a few mods that allowed you to do it was the arc warmind cell one where collecting a warmind cell like gave you an charge with light or something like that.
Mhm.
And then the elemental charge was probably the one people use most with high energy fire. It's like you combine those two and then it's outside that you're just using like wells because wells are just the best. You'd also get way too much ability energy from wells, which this also helps get rid of. Overall, like the change helped the sandbox health immensely,
Yeah.
and now from this simplification, now it's easier for them to expand. I mean, even with it, like they added new mods like ammo scout, for example, and even just like a font of each like stat, right? If you want free discipline but
It's
you
no
want
longer
your
just
main
fonts of
build to
wisdom.
be strength based, then you can. It's like I'm gonna do like a melee based build with melee kickstart and um what is the where is it, heavy handed, and it's like bam, I'm gonna be going full into melee. But then when I get those melee kills and I make those orbs, I'm gonna have max discipline, and that's gonna allow me to grapple more as a titan, let's say. It's like, I don't know. It's like these systems are really diverse. It's maybe we just need more time to actually swallow the pill and be okay
And
with it.
I also think, to uh Sesame's point also, you have so many mods that even if you just took away the elements, the mod costs needed to be looked at across the board, because some of these mods, they sucked and they were ridiculously expensive, right? Like it's just it wasn't feasible. I mean, nobody liked running heavy-handed on your class item with a singular like outreach mod just to activate the effect. Like that sucked, right? Um and then, like Cruz already brought up, the consolidation, putting melee kickstart basically with what heavy-handed did, but at a 3 cost. And now if you don't even have armor charges, you still get a benefit,
Yeah, it's
right?
still something, which I think is great. It's like, unlike the other kind of consume based mods, if you just have the mod on, you're gonna get some benefit. It's just like, I think it's like 17% or no charge, and then like the more charges you have, you get like 5% per each, or roughly that. Obviously, it starts higher and kind of goes a little bit less each time, but like you could really build into melee kickstart being insane, but you don't have to. You could literally just have it as a passive mod, not even really doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, and to your question, Sesame, the subclass elemental wills being personal. I mean, I
Can you
I
load us into
see.
a new thingy?
Oh yeah, sorry. I see um the elemental wells, like the new one, the void breaches, the fire sprites and stuff. Like at a certain point there has to be, and I think this with most games, like having a way to interact with your team is awesome. And I think the mod system, the armor choice system covers that really, 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 really well, because you can make orbs with your abilities and weapons and stuff. But your subclass stuff being personal just makes sense, right? Like, because it's your subclass. I don't see an issue with that personally. I think what elemental wells were intended to do versus what they ended up doing before we lost them was a little bit twisted and kind of broken. Um, Especially with, like, healing the well of life and stuff, and um, sort of getting charged with light, and with how dominant solar was for a good while. Um, I think that it definitely stood out a little too far, and it was for almost zero effort and or cost. So making it personal, I think, is completely fine, because, for instance, let's say we're both running Devour, and I'm running the one that makes void breaches on volatile kills, and you're not. You know, we're both running the Devour fragment. I can get Devour from my void breaches, but because of the armor mod system, I'm making orbs with my grenades, which are also volatile things, and my orb that drops from the kill, you pick it up and you get Devour. It's effectively the same thing. Like, I think there's very rarely a case, maybe the fire sprites is probably the most notable case, where there's no direct interaction, but being able to heal off of someone else's soul or fire sprite is not balanced, not even a little bit.
I was thinking kind of the same situation, but with like Devour, for example. It's like,
Yeah,
maybe the uptime being able to be shared is a little too strong to have it based around like not orbs, you know?
exactly.
Orbs can be shared, but maybe having the elemental wells just being like an added bonus solo is kind of something you can allow without it being too much power creep.
Yeah. And that's kind of the way I see it. Like, that's, to be honest, I think that's the easiest way, and like one of the best ways to just kind of balance it, is just kind of keep it to yourself, right? Because now, instead of having to balance void breaches and fire sprites and what they can do across the board, they just have to focus on orbs. Because as it stands right now, orbs is like the main way to get, armor charges, and um, I think it's relatively easy to balance around that.
I mean, they already have a little bit by making the orbs so damn tiny if you don't stack into it. Like, if you're
Yeah,
not running multiple firepowers, those orbs, they borderline don't give you super. It's so little,
yeah.
which is
I
good.
mean, you make a choice. You make a choice. You want
I
It's like, I
was
want I
really
want to spam
worried
orbs, and I want to
when
get
the
armor
orbs were going to
charges.
be here that we were going to
Yep.
have infinite supers, and I'm happy to be wrong.
They tuned it down. They tuned it down a lot. And it was very necessary. Because I think if you were, you know, if you played back in the day, before they doubled the amount of orbs it required to get your super, then you would know just how like absurd the game gets when everybody's super spamming like crazy.
Especially with how good our supers are now. Like,
Yeah,
we don't have
compared
like
to early
D1
D2,
supers,
oh
and we
my
also don't even
God.
have D1 supers. It's like D1 supers come back in like 5 kills, and it's like, yeah, because you pop Fist of Havoc and it would do enough to kill a yellow bar. Like maybe if that. Like I don't know. You pop a Nova and it's like, wow, I weakened a yellow bar a little bit. And it's like
Yeah.
it was designed to be spammy and like that's it. But like the more we have now, I just sponge you. It. The more power that we have now, like you gotta limit how easy it is for us to get that. And with like a build system, you gotta build into getting that power. But you know, that obviously comes with some sacrifices. Now, if you really did want to go crazy, like let's say I was doing Gathering Storm and Star Eaters, I want to do like just a melee setup on my hunter. I might just fully build into like heavy-handed, like next season maybe when it's like a one cost, assuming it is. You know, maybe there's. I mean, I can't live with a world without fastball, but maybe I run 2, and now I'm just getting Gathering Storm so much faster. Solo, and I'm just walking around punching. I'm gonna run. I could even run like 3. What's the mod for
hands on?
Hands on. That's what it's. Yeah, like
Yeah,
hands on.
that's what I was
Just
gonna say.
you get your super just instantly, like, and then you're casting this like one of the highest damaging supers in the game at like a crazy uptime.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have like to be able to build into surges and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna have like emergency reinforcement, aka like new protective. You know, I am gonna be pretty kitted towards like one particular aspect of my character, but I mean that's what
It's gonna do it really
investment
well.
is for.
Yeah,
And,
it's gonna do that thing very well.
I think the fact that we do become more focused, less broad, more focused in terms of what our builds are, the more build variety we can have. And like I can have a version of a build that's different than yours because of my playstyle and what I like to use. So all this is really to say that I think the longevity of this system is gonna really help the game from being as stale. And I think to the point of exotics, there could maybe be a world where there's a little bit more exotic variety as a result of it. That's the hope, at least.
I mean, I think one big thing also that I feel like I maybe have already said, but I just want to reiterate basically is that the armor charge system effectively takes subclasses that had glaring holes and allows you to fill them however you want. And
Yeah, like
it
Void
doesn't
Hunter is a
restrict
great
you.
example.
Yeah.
You know, you lose Heart of the Pack, and it's like, ugh, that's like a tough loss for your cycling of your abilities and stuff like that. Well, it's like you kind of get that for free now. You could use Bolstering Detonation, for example, to get more class ability energy. And then kit that with an armor charge system where you're gonna run stacks and I don't know, charged up and utility kickstart. And now I'm just getting like my invis dodge all the time. I don't even need people. I just need to go around and make orbs. So
Yeah, and it just allows you to play the game more freely now. I will and inadvertently they also basically made, in my opinion, the end game just a tiny bit harder, like a tiny bit, because now it's not as completely as free, like with Well of Life and kind of tenacity and stuff like that. You have to, I mean, if you put in the effort, it's still going to be, probably just as easy, but you have to put in the effort now, right? So, I mean, I think that's just a good change in general, in my opinion.
yeah. That was the last thing about Strand. I think at least with the current artifact, with how good tangles can be, I think the 15 seconds is is fine. I think it's warranted.
It's fair. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going forward, I have a little bit of concern. I know they want to make Strand kind of like Stasis. You know, they want to make it like the cool thing, and I'm sure as things rotate around and be in 2 seasons when Strand's back being featured, we can get some cool mods like this. But I'd love for like these to be integrated as fragments, because I think building into tangles is something you should be able to do. Something like in Strand, the thing I'll say is maybe not 100% is that tangles on their own don't necessarily feel like that major place.
Yeah, I mean, they just seem tangles are just pure utility if you don't build into them. You know, you throw them, they do a tiny bit of damage. You could throw them, grapple onto them. If you have the fragment, you get melee energy back. Like, just sheer utility. Nothing too crazy, but with the seasonal mods, if you haven't already, highly recommend you pick up the auto rifle or SMG, and you grab all 3 of those mods, make a couple tangles, pop them with the strand weapon. It has to be the strand weapon, and just have fun because it's awesome.
And my weapon is just kind of like weird green missing textures right now because of this awesome bug where nothing loads. But there's a reason I'm using the strand weapon, and yeah, it is amazing to pair with. It's like this is something that genuinely, at least for this season, is day 1 viable, which is like another thing that's like, wow, that's kind of, did not think that these, you know, weakened strand weapons would actually be something that I genuinely consider running for like a day 1.
Yep.
And it's purely because of the utility they provide.
I mean, I was running in Gambit, you know, with my Titan build. I was running the hand cannon with the 4th horseman actually, and I would just go in, grapple melee like a huge group, slot to my hand cannon, one shot the tangle, and like everything's either dead or suspended, and it just does so much damage. So it's really cool stuff. But like you said, once the season's gone and we lose these mods,
yeah, I have my concerns.
Yeah, it'll still be really fun. But it's just,
yeah, I mean, volatile flow is broken right now, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, void weapons won't be as good, but we're gonna get arc and stasis stuff. So
yeah,
no, who knows? Maybe stasis with the mods is like better than strand. Maybe not, but
yeah.
stasis is probably my least favorite subclass in the game. But hey, there's some new crazy mods.
I'm gonna probably agree with you on that. Honestly,
it's that or arc. I mean, arc has a few really fun things though. That's
I really enjoy arc. I'm an arc fanboy, so can't really hate on my arc. I just love Jolt. I think Jolt is one of the coolest things they've added to this game.
I mean, I love Volt Shot as a perk, and I know you do too. So, like that right there is enough for me to just be like, oh yeah, even just not even much synergy with arc. It's like that's good enough to make me just I love that so much. Okay, with arc being what it is.
Like I imagine, you know, if they're depending on how lazy they're gonna be, you know, a perk that's like rapid final blows, give your weapon, like your arc weapons, Volt Shot or something.
Yeah,
you know. So you're just mowing down ads with Forbearance, and eventually your Forbearance just procs Volt Shot out of nowhere, and you just obliterate like entire continents instead of just rooms.
You know? Yeah, I know, dude, that'd be insane. But I mean, I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, you shoot one Forbearance shot, you know, during confluxes and VOG, and that's it. The whole entire map is cleared. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good start. I'm pleasantly surprised with how they've gone about the artifact, the passive artifacts effects, which is amazing.
Passive artifact. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
it is
easily
really
a highlight.
Nice.
Like, it's so good. And just, you know, the row 5 mods, I will say the super damage one, like, is kind of a bummer. I feel like its range is super tiny.
Yeah, I'm okay with it though, because I just don't want like metas to revolve around broken mod.
That's
It's
true. That's a good point. Yeah.
like if it's stacked or like did all that stuff, it's like I just don't want to think about that. I just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. At least I would prefer not to.
I agree.
Um, I think we're kind of getting close to wrapping it up. We've hit a lot of big points.
Yeah.
If you could narrow down one thing to like what you're like most excited to do or mess with more, what would it be? I just got the red auto. Let's go. I only need 3 more.
I'm gonna say besides the raid, of course, right?
Yeah, because of course, you know, we're super excited for the raid. We hope it's really good. We won't have another one before the day 1, so wish us luck.
Yeah.
Going for 4.
I would say honestly, I find myself I'm gonna play a lot of Strand Titan and with Synthos. If like
Synthos.
that's my
Yeah.
my final piece. Like I know we've talked about it, off
Mm-hmm.
off stream and um Synthos, with heavy handed, the woven mail and orb pickup, like holy moly. It is a god class, like in my opinion. Like it is so even in high level activity, it is so good. Um so and not to mention, I think there's a video out already of someone, I think it's Snazzy. Um
Oh,
what's it
doing the
called?
caretaker stuff?
Yeah, the caretaker solo with
Yeah.
because when you grapple melee with Synthos, you get biotic enhancement. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. It's like insane to me. And also the Synthos buffs your super damage. Like if you haven't already and you like to play Titan, Synthos with Strand Titan, and honestly you can use whatever grenade you want. Grapple melee is probably the best just for movement. Um highly recommend. That's probably what I'm going to be using the most after the day 1. Like that just seems like the most fun to me.
I think it's hard to narrow down, but I mean, just I've started playing with Strand Titan a little bit. Over the next couple days before the day 1, I'm gonna continue playing it. And primarily I'll probably be using the new boots just for that, you know, team synergy with Woven Mail
Oh
and
yeah. Yep.
Suspend. Because, you know, why are we getting this cutscene?
I don't know.
This is interesting. I've watched this on this character before.
I guess I'll just skip it then.
That was so weird. What the heck? That was after a playlist one too.
Oh, I think it's because I finished my 3rd one. Right? No?
Maybe. Is that your first time on this character doing it?
No, I mean we this is like our 3rd time doing these. I don't know what's
No,
going
but
on.
like on that character. That the first time it wouldn't even matter. It's not based off the prequel,
Yeah.
it's based off the other one.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. So yeah, I just think I'm excited to see what Strand Titan's gonna be for that day 1, because
Yeah.
I am somebody, a lot of us will believe that, you know, day 1s are won by the teams that make the fewest mistakes, not the team that optimizes the most. And I think what Titans do right now is, yeah, sure, they don't necessarily have the godly DPS thing, and maybe they're not the best for that, but they are still, I think, one of the most versatile classes, even with the Hoyle nerf, at keeping your team alive and being very versatile.
Yeah.
Because I don't want a
100%.
full team of running Starfire Welllock. I want to have a roaming super if I need it. Like I don't mind having that. I want to have things that delay and heal and anyway. As much as I think Starfire Warlock is broken, I think Titans are. I just think it's crazy that people are doom and gloom about how good Titans are.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
So
They do bring a ton of team utility. And they're
Strand
just such a
Titan's gonna
strong
go
class.
Strand and Void Titan together, man. They're gonna be like your team: Void Overshield, Woven Mail, Suspend. Oh my lord,
It's gonna be so good.
it'll
And
be something else.
just to address Sesame's comment about we are aware of the infinite special thing. In my opinion, the empowered finish shouldn't stack. Uh, just simple as that. It shouldn't stack, and as soon as you do that, it just doesn't work anymore. So That's
Yeah,
my answer to
one
that.
thing should probably not give another.
It should,
Right,
yeah, it
in
should
terms
just,
of
you should just be able
consuming
to
to
get
then
one.
gain. It's like, you shouldn't be able to like get it back after just doing it with the consume, if you know what I mean.
There should be a cool. There should be like a small, like maybe a 10-second cooldown on special finisher, in my opinion. To prevent sort of that kind of spam.
I mean, it's not like you'd use your armor charges. It's like you could keep them. It's not like you have to consume them and you don't get the special.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that bad to even have it even be longer. But
Yeah. So, but I just think empowered finish shouldn't stack in general. But yeah, I mean that's what I'm excited for, and that's what you're excited for. We got the raid on Friday, and I guess let's see how that goes.
yeah, we'll see,
Number
man.
4.
Number 4, man. It's insane to think about, but I have a lot of confidence, and I'm also nervous and anxious because it's like I said this earlier when Dwylo was playing first pool with me, but it is not gonna lie, it's strange to think of a world where we're not winning. As arrogant as that is to say, it's been like almost 2 years.
I tell you what, if the team that beats you isn't Dado, I think the Destiny community will implode.
Dude, Dado, the Destiny community needs Dado to win, man.
Yep, they've been
They're all
waiting. It feels like an
so
eternity.
hard. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't. The vow was right there for them. I won't say anything else than that, but it was. they had another chance. Another chance.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for episode 15 of the Destiny Dugout. This was another one we did while playing and just live streaming. Week 1 of Lightfall is just kind of all of our overall thoughts and where we see things going and how Lightfall's turning out. I think both of us are pretty happy overall with what the expansion's bringing. The campaign's over, so it's kind of we're moving on from there. So yeah, this'll for those watching live, this will be uploaded probably mid to late day tomorrow. And then we won't have another one till probably maybe Sunday. We'll record our day 1 thoughts and how that all went. So as always, thank you so much for watching and listening. For the people here, thanks for being around, and that's about it. I will send you guys off. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you.